Hey everybody, welcome to J Stern Designs. Today what I want to do is share a quick tip with you when you're constructing knit garments using your serger. I was making yoga pants for my daughter and I was all done constructing them. I just had to put the waistband on. All right, you can see here I have just a sample of what a waistband would look like. So this would be the legs and this would be the waistband. And I was all excited because she's leaving for college and she can take them with her. They're all ready to go. They fit her great. So she went to put them on one last time before I did the hem, and they tore across the base of the waistband across the back. And I was like, oh my goodness, I probably didn't catch, I probably didn't catch the pants part completely in the seam and it, pulled out, because that can happen. So if you're sewing something that's going to be stressed and you don't completely catch all the layers, it can tear out. So I did it again, and I was really careful to catch all the layers, and I even trimmed like 1/8 of an inch off as I sewed the waistband back on. And she went to put them on, and she was pulling them up from the side like this, and she made 2 holes. Her fingers went right through the seams. And I'm like, all right, this never happens to me. Like, I was like, what is going on? So I thought about it for a second, and I realized that I had just left the needles that I had been using for a whole bunch of things that I had been working on before I made these yoga pants in there, and I didn't change them to needles I would use to do a knit project. So I looked, and I actually had 1 Topstitch needle and 1 random needle that I don't know what it is. Schmetz Needles has a new color coding system that they put on the shanks of their needles, so you can easily see what kind of needle you have in there. You can see that this needle has a light blue and a purple stripe on it. What that symbolizes is the kind of needle and the size. So that's really cool that Schmetz Needles is doing that now. So I know very readily that this is a Topstitch needle, because that's the color for a Topstitch needle, and a size 16. All right, so I changed the needles to size 12 universal, and I sewed the waistband on again, and it doesn't tear. So let me show you. This here is my pile of trying to fix it before I realized it was a problem with the needles. And I can just show you here. See how the fabric literally just tore away from the base of the seam. Okay, so that's just where, this is the part I cut off when I serged again. So that's what was happening. It was shearing the fabric because the size 16 needle is huge, and it was punching such a big hole in the knit that it was causing it to tear. I tried to reproduce this for you in a sample, and it again readily tore. I put those needles back in the serger that I had been using when I got the tear, and see what happens is you can see how the fabric just tears away, and then once the tear starts, I can show you it very easily can keep going. Okay, so now without pulling very hard, I can keep tearing along. So imagine if this was across, your backside or somewhere that's got a lot of stress, you could very easily pop the whole seam open. So the tip for today is make sure you use the appropriate needles. You can use stretch needles, which are very nice, and they don't damage the fabric because the tip is a ballpoint, a rounded ballpoint. And they're a little bit more expensive than universal needles. I always try a universal needle first, because a universal needle is a semi-sharp point. It's not like a Microtex needle that has a very sharp point. So depending on your knit, you may be able to get away with a universal needle. And if you do a sample on a scrap, you'll be able to tell. And I just want to show you what the 2 seams look like when I stress them. This is the one with the Topstitch needle. And you can see that when I pull it away, look how visible the stitches are. Okay, so when I stress that, not enough to tear it, but enough to just show you. See how you can see the stitches? Okay, and then with the universal needles, everything else is the same. You can see that when I stress it here, the stitches are much less noticeable, and that's because the hole is smaller. Okay, so I know from this sample I can get away with using a universal needle on this knit, and it's not going to tear, and it's going to be fine. I do want to show you one other thing that may encourage you to change your needles more often. All right, so you can see that by putting these needles in, I have to work around the upper looper. And I will tell you from experience, this is an Ovation serger. It's a sharp looper. I've cut my finger on it. So you know that you can put the upper looper down when you're doing a cover hem. Well, you can also put it down to insert your needles. So if I just click this down right here and then rotate my wheel, look at how much room I have now. I can get right in there and insert my needles and thread my needles without worrying about hurting my finger on the looper. So if you have big hands and you need a lot of room, like I have really big hands, so any more room that I can get, I really want to take advantage of. But look at how easy it is to just go in. I can insert both needles at one time and I can hold them right there, you know, where looper would probably be in my way right now. Okay, and then I can go in and tighten those very easily. So the second tip for the day is to encourage you to use the proper needles and to change them frequently for your projects, is to put the upper looper down to give yourself more room. Then of course you do want to remember to put it back up, because obviously it's not going to stitch unless it goes up, but it's very easy just to pop it up and down. So those are my 2 tips for today. If you have any questions about, you know, appropriate needles, you know, please let me know. I'll put a link to the Schmetz needle website so you can see all the stuff they have to offer. They have amazing needles for all different kinds of projects. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.